Adiyogi is the source of yoga, the first yogi. Rest of us are just his sidekicks.
He did not give technology, he just gave the science of it. The technologies that you are enjoying today, either in the form of a smartphone or a computer or some other gadget that you're using, there is a science behind it. That science is not relevant to you. He is not talking technology, he left it to the Saptarishis to make the technology as it would suit the people who would sit in front of him on that day. So in this context, there is a very, very, very big difference between what you refer to as the Adiyogi and all the other names that you're mentioning. They are all technology people. They grasped one aspect of it and they made a certain technology for people who were sitting in front of them at that moment. It worked for the people, so that's all that matters at that moment. But we are looking at Adiyogi as the fundamental science. These questions and these thoughts are coming from a mindset which has grown in organized religions. We are not talking about Shiva versus somebody else, because that we refer to as Shiva includes all these things that you're talking about. Just one little dimension, this or that, they found out and they started talking about it and they became popular. I'm not trying to belittle them, they're all wonderful human beings who've done great service to humanity. But I'm saying, in terms of perception, there hasn't been another being like him. And perception is all that I value, and that's all you should value. Rest can be made up. Rest is just frills. So you're talking about Zen. What greater master of Zen than Shiva himself? That somebody comes, his own son, he doesn't get the point. You heard of Guiti, the Zen master? Guiti always did this. He'll be talking. People look at it, okay, why is he showing the finger to me? The thing is, he's always trying to say everything is one. This is the teaching. Rest of what I say is not important, this is the teaching. So there was a little boy, because in these Buddhist monasteries, Zen monasteries, little boys become monks, 4, 5-year-olds. So the little boy who's growing up in the monastery, he saw Guiti and, the boy takes to him. So this boy is going about. If anybody says anything, so Guiti watched this. He waited for him to become 16. One day he called the boy and he did this. The boy instinctively, because he's been doing it all over the place, he also did this. He took out a knife and chopped off his finger. And they say he attained. He suddenly saw the point, that it's not about one, it's about nothing. Shiva went further, long time ago. He came back from somewhere, he always carried a trishul. So trishul is a trident. He's always carrying the trident to show people there are 3 dimensions. Yourself, your way of being, what you know and what you do not know. And what you do not know rules, not what you know. So one day he came back after a long break. He's not seen this boy, his son. Now he's 10, 11 years of age. When Shiva came, this boy is carrying a little trident. With that he tries to stop him. He looked at him and took off his head, not his trident. Then whatever drama happened, and then he put another head, a Ghana's head, on top of him, and he became such a brilliant boy. Even today in India, if people want to start education, anything, first thing is they will worship this boy, which that Ghana has become Gaja. A Ghana's head has become, instead of Ganesha, he's become Gajesha now. They kind of modified it and made it into an elephant head. But he became the very embodiment of intelligence and brilliance. They said there was nothing that he did not know. So that's the first act of Zen. So anything that you can talk of the world, talk in the world, nothing is left out of his life. He's so complex and so complete. And he did not have a teaching, he only had methods, that's the most important thing. Others have teachings. How many fingers can you cut? A method like this, can you employ? Can you go about employing this Goethe's method of cutting a finger? One boy's finger you caught and he got it. If you cut many fingers, you'll only have crippled people. Nothing would have happened. So, there is no teaching from Shiva, only methods. And the methods are 100% scientific in nature. He gave 108 ways and added another 6 and said 112 ways. 112 ways because there are 114 chakras in the body, 2 of them reside outside the physical body. He said, that realm is only for those who are beyond. For human beings, there are only 112 ways. And he showed clear methods as to how you can exploit these 112 dimensions of how this life is made. And each one, how you can… through each one of them you can realize. It's a beautiful story. When he was expounding the mechanics of life with the 7 sages, he had one witness. And that witness is not like Ananda Tirtha, she is Parvati. She's already realized. He taught her or he made her realize in a very intimate manner. But when the 7 sages sat, he went into a completely different dimension of exploration. So it was interesting for her. Something that happened to her so simply is such a complex process. So as he went about expounding different dimensions, he said, there are 112 ways in which a human being can attain. She being a woman, she being realized, and above all, she being the wife. She said, why only 112? There must be more ways. He was looking at the mechanics of life, exploring things. He's not giving a teaching, he's not giving a philosophy. As he was exploring, he saw this as a disturbance. He waved it aside. He said, there are only 112. Because you are going through something and somebody makes a comment which is a personal comment, a whimsical comment. There are only 112. She says, I will find more. He said, you go and find. Then she went. She's already realized, she's trying to explore different ways to find it. After, they say, many years of sadhana, she came back. He was still talking to the Saptarishis or the seven sages. She being his wife, she can come and sit beside him. But she came and sat one step below. She did not want the sages to know, but she wanted him to know that she's failed. She just came and sat one step below to indicate that whatever challenge she threw, she's failed. So she did not want the others to know, but she wanted him to know. So there are 112 different ways. What Shiva is talking is mechanics of life, no philosophy, no teaching, no social relevance, simply science. Social relevance we add just to make it rounding it off, otherwise it's too scientific. From this science, individual masters make technology out of it. He did not give technology, he just gave the science of it. The technologies that you are enjoying today, either in the form of a smartphone or a computer or some other gadget that you're using, there is a science behind it. That science is not relevant to you. You are only using the technology. But if somebody had not grasped the science, you would not have the technology. The algorithms that go into the making of a simple software is very complex. Sometimes you got your email in a coded form, did you see? You can't figure out, is this what I typed? It is all kinds of gibberish. But for somebody else it makes sense. Because of that, it is going. Now, here we are just using sound waves. If I speak, these amplifiers are just amplifying the sound that I create and it's traveling as sound waves. But suppose I spoke to you on a phone, then what I speak is not going as sound waves, it's becoming electromagnetic waves, going there and reconverting themselves. So when it's traveling from here, you speak on a cell phone, it's traveling from here to Bangalore, it is not going as sound waves, it's become something else. If you hear that, if you can, or if you feel that, it would be something totally different. But some other instrument once again converts it into sound waves the way you can understand. So what Shiva said is simply pure science. He's not talking technology. He left it to the Saptarishis to make the technology as it would suit the people who would sit in front of him on that day. Depending upon what kind of gadget we need, we produce that, but the fundamental science is the same thing, isn't it? Nothing has changed about that. So, I'm talking about Shiva all the time because it is the science. The tech is not important. It's the science which is important. Tech can be made up. Technology is a made-up thing. Because there is a fundamental science, using that we are making something out of it. Gadgets that are relevant today may be irrelevant tomorrow. Already it's happened, isn't it? So many things. So many gadgets that we thought were very valuable, no more valuable because new gadgets have come, but the same science. So what kind of gadgets we produce simply depends upon who is sitting in front of you right now, what is the need of the hour. So in this context, there is a very, very, very big difference between what you refer to as the Adiyogi and all the other names that you're mentioning. They are all technology people. They grasped one aspect of it and they made a certain technology for people who were sitting in front of them at that moment. It worked for the people, so that's all that matters at that moment. But we are looking at Adiyogi as the fundamental science. It's important at a time like this. At a time like this when humanity is in the kind of state that it is for various reasons, it's important the essential science of it is strengthened.
Shiva is not a philosopher, he's a yogi. When I say he's not a philosopher, see, it's very easy to be philosophical. In fact, the less you know, the more the chances that you will become philosophical. It's very easy to become a philosopher. You just have to read a couple of books and misunderstand them. You can become a philosopher. The reason why you're talking about something that is written in a book is because you have not perceived, grasped life in any depth. If you had even read a single page of this vast existence, all your life you would be talking only that. There wouldn't be time to talk about anything else. So Shiva is a yogi, purely existential, not philosophical, not intellectual. This is not something that you can understand. This is not something that you have to be convinced about. This is not something that you have to agree with. This is something that you learn to relate with. If you can relate to it and experiment with it, it will do miraculous things for you.
Here, all of you are able to see Adiyogi's face. When we started designing him, what I wanted was stillness, exuberance and intoxication. All three of them, I don't know to what extent we have succeeded, you must tell me. Of all these qualities of exuberance and drunkenness, the most important thing is stillness. If you become absolutely still, which means you came to a place where you are not in touch with your physicality. The definition of your body, which makes you a male or female, the definition of your body, which makes you whether you're alive or dead, the definition of your body, which decides whether you're healthy or unhealthy, if you lose touch with that, even for a moment, you will come to an enormous sense of stillness. So if you become still like this, you do not know Shiva, but you have become that. So the aspiration is not to woo Shiva, the aspiration is to become one. This is not a culture where our aspiration is to go to heaven and sit on right side or left side of God. We have no such aspirations. We know sitting next to God or even sitting on His lap, we will get bored. So we seek liberation. Liberation means the only binding there is the physical existence of who we are, which also includes our psychological structure. Not much of a bondage really, if you know how to handle it. For this you have to sit still. You just have to learn to sit still, absolutely. If you do that, then everything that's worth knowing is yours, nobody can deny it to you. The simple way to approach your stillness is just on this Mahashivratri night, by your choice, don't tell anybody, by yourself, you pick something that you're compulsive about and see if you can just keep it away. Maybe it's food, maybe it's sleep, maybe it's clothing, maybe it's sexuality, maybe anything. Whatever you're compulsive about, just pick one thing and see if you can just keep it aside. If you just do something as simple as that, you will notice stillness will begin to happen to you by its own nature.
Begin this interview by asking you that what made you conceive this Adiyogi and what made you come to this conclusion that it is necessary and important in pursuit of your spirituality and for people.
It's not in pursuit of my spirituality. My spirituality doesn't need any form. I don't need a temple nor a mountain, nor a statue. But to inculcate this in the world, to bring spiritual process as a day-to-day aspect of your life, my fundamental goal is to bring down spirituality from the mountain top to the street. I want to redefine the term street. Right now, if you say street, people will think booze, drugs, prostitution. This is what street represents. It's my vision that in the next 15 to 20 years, we need to transform this street. Street should mean well-being, street should mean love, street should mean meditativeness, street should mean spiritual process. In this effort, there are many things being done. One important thing is an iconic face. So, Adiyogi predates all religion, and before the idea of religion came, he expounded the science of human well-being in a scientific way, not as a philosophy, not as a religion, not as a belief system, not as an ideology, but as a technology, as a science, methods of transformation, not philosophies of transformation. So, he's relevant, though he is 15,000 years ago, he belongs to the future because only now humanity is coming to this place where human intellect is firing like never before, more people can think for themselves than ever before, people are looking at things logically. I think the appropriate time for Adiyogi to explode on the planet has come because human intellect has come to that place where they can start looking at their well-being with not fanciful belief systems or ideologies, but as a science. As there is a science for external well-being, there's an entire science for inner well-being.
You know,
That's what he represents.
In your discourse, you have been talking about form, structure, relevance of creating scientific spaces for meditation. Can you please elaborate on the fact when you say that the art and the science of temple making has been lost? Why do you say that in your discourse?
See, all physical form, whether it's your own body or the planet or the solar system or the universe or the atom, from the smallest to the ultimate physical manifestation. Physical manifestation is the way it is because of its geometric proportions. It is perfection of geometry which holds physical forms in space. This planet is not tied to the sun with a cable, it's a geometric perfection. If it goes off this orbit, it won't come back again. It holds that because of a certain geometric perfection. So, entire science of yoga is just this, to get your system into such a geometric perfection that you are aligned with the cosmic geometry. In this effort, we also create physical forms. Look at this form, this is not about aesthetically, yes, there is a certain beauty to it, but above all, there is a geometric perfection to this, that if you view Adiyogi's face for a minute, without taking off your attention, that's it. For your life, this image will be imprinted on your mind, you can never take it off. The idea is to put that imprint into people's minds so that their inspiration is towards their inner well-being. their inspiration and their natural longing will become for their ultimate well-being, not squandering their life doing petty things.
We've come up with the Adiyogi. It took me 2.5 years to design this face. We created dozens and dozens of faces and forms. I somehow could not agree. Every time I describe something, our IT team works on it and comes up with this, then I don't like the nose, I don't like the ears, I don't like this, I don't like that. And it went on for 2.5 years. We came up with many dozens of images. Finally, we arrived at an image somehow. I thought this represents what we are looking at as Adiyogi. And now we built one 21 feet tall and he's sitting in America, in Tennessee, the Tennessee ashram. And we are in the process of building one which is 112 feet tall, just the face. So it's going to be the largest face on the planet, just the face. One is coming up near the ashram. We want to put these four corners of the country. So I'm thinking east means we'll put it up in Varanasi, north means somewhere north of Delhi, west means we were thinking of Rajasthan, but again, it's too far out in the desert, so west means now we're thinking Mumbai. So, this is going to be an iconic presence for this city. The one that we place in the ashram is in a remote place, but we want him there. So nobody can create an Adiyogi for sure, but he largely, this image beginning to represent that, it kind of gelled with my mind. So, he has a certain presence and we've also created 1 foot tall ones and 6 inches ones, 9 inches ones, all kinds, but we want 112 feet tall ones come because he gave 112 ways in which a human being can attain to his ultimate nature. Because he created 112 ways, we thought as an acknowledgement for providing us 112 ways through which we can know, still being in the body. He also mentioned this when Parvati challenged him, why can't there be more, and they went through that whole drama. Then he said, 112 ways if you are rooted in the body. If you are not rooted in the body, then as many atoms there are in the cosmos, that many ways are there. So, even if you're rooted in the body, 112 ways, so we thought, we cannot build something as many atoms in the universe. So 112 ways, for those who are rooted in the body, he provided 112 ways to attain ultimate nature. So 112 foot tall Adiyogi will come up. I think these temples are not pure worshipping temples, these are sadhana temples. So, if people come, they can learn a 3-minute yoga, 10-minute yoga, 20-minute yoga, 30-minute yoga, whatever. If they come to the temple, there is a way to learn something for your inner well-being. This is the fundamental shift that we want to bring about. That is, for human well-being, instead of looking up, you turn inward. This shift needs to happen in the world. As long as they're looking up, there's going to be a fight on the planet. My God versus your God struggle will never go. Only if people start seeing my well-being has to be addressed means I have to turn inward. If this awareness and this consciousness spreads, only then you will see a different kind of humanity, a different kind of world where people will function in an entirely different way. So we want to use this event that's coming up now on 21st of June, which is declared the International Yoga Day, where 177 nations have endorsed this for the first time. In United Nations, no resolution ever in the history of United Nations got the support of 177 nations. International Yoga Day.
So, International Yoga Day got this kind of support. And this has been something that we've been working for, that the leadership in the world should begin to speak the spiritual possibility and the benefits of turning inward. And for the first time, a head of a major nation is going out in the Committee of Nations. In the United Nations, our Prime Minister spoke about the importance and the significance of yoga. When he's in conversation with the President of United States, 7 minutes of the conversation was about yoga. 2 minutes of the UN speech was about yoga. Never before such things have happened. What this means is, the significance of life is shifting from heaven to inner nature. Those who think their well-being is in heaven must proceed.